Let's review some TCP/IP basic concepts using our pfSense lab at home. So we're going to be talking about first the DHCP server, whose mission is to give to all the clients and workstation an IP address, a DNS server to look at for IPs, and a gateway to get out. Of course, the gateway is going to be responsible for telling how the packet should be reaching something that is not part of your local area network. And in our lab, remember that we have two local area networks, LAN and OPT. The function of the DNS server, which in pfSense is called unbound, is a process called unbound, is going to be responsible for resolution of, IBM.com. Well, that is this particular IP address, and it will work in combination with external DNS resolvers. We'll use the example of Quad9. The proxy, it's originally was mostly used for cache and reduce of bandwidth, because if you look for a web page and it's in the cache of the proxy, then you don't have to go out and get it. Today, that is not so much so, because there are so many pages with dynamic content, but still is very much used for action on web traffic control, to block something, and these produces logs that are sent to Curator as well as DNS server, as well as DHCP server, as well as firewall logs, which we will talk more about later. So in your pfSense, using a virtual here, you go to services, DHCP server, and then you select the segment. This is the LAN providing DHCP addresses. And so the first thing that we do is that you need to check this to enable DHCP. And then you need to specify the subnet. This is the LAN subnet in this case, and you need to specify a range. I put a very small range to avoid conflicting with some static IP addresses that I use, from 4 to 9. Underneath here, I also specify that the DNS server is going to be unbound. It's going to be the same DNS server in the machine, and the gateway, if you don't specify anything, is going to be again the same 172.16.60.2, which is the interface as you are reading here. Okay, so let's actually go into a Windows machine and configure that particular device. So we go to Properties, IPv4 properties, and then we put here obtain an IP address automatically and obtain a DNS automatically. I don't want to do anything. I want you to do everything for me. So we're going to go here, and if we do ipconfig in Windows, in Linux is ifconfig, ifconfig. Notice that we are given one of those, the first of those addresses that is available, the .4. That's a subnet. The gateway is the .2, and we can ping the world. We're going to use the ns lookup command to do so. And if we say ns lookup to ibm.com, notice that the resolver for DNS is pfSense, that unbound process. And then it gives us the address for ibm.com, 129.42.38.10. So to review what happened, when we did the ns lookup for the ibm.com address, what the DHCP server did is pass it to the DNS internal process unbound, and it did found whatever DNS is being set up. One word of caution though. The first thing in looking for a DNS resolution that any host will do is to go to the etc host file. This file in Unix is /etc host. In Windows is system root, which is Windows System32 drivers etc and then the host file. So if there is a resolution there, that prevails over everything else. Since I don't have any IBM.com in that file, then it went through the DNS resolver. Now, another thing is that in pfSense you can define on system general setup what is your preferred DNS server, and here we are using Quad9. But when you saw the resolution for NSS lookup, it says, well, I figured that out, and what you get was the host name, which is pfSense, those local domain, which is that server. And by the way, pfSense runs on FreeBSD. So now let's actually go into the definition of the client on the workstation or whatever device that is connecting on the network. And we still are going to be getting the DHCP server, the IP, but we're going to say, well, we want to override whatever you're going to be doing. We want to go to Google's 8.8.8, right? So we click here, OK. We close that. We're going to do IP config. Again, is ifconfig if you're using Windows. We're going to use a renew. So if we now do an NS lookup for IBM.com, we're going to get the same address, but now it is the Google DNS resolver, the one that is going to provide the answer. And because we have a gateway working, we can actually ping IBM.com. So if we first get the DNS resolution, okay, took me a while, but IBM.com does not return any response for ICMP ping command. That's the problem. So if we can ping yahoo.com, and we see that it actually reply. So that concludes the part for DNS, DHCP, and how DNS resolution happen within DHCP.